Well, good day again from Tel Aviv. Today I have the privilege of being with Moshe Feiglin, who's the leader of Zehut. Moshe's an ex-Likud member, former deputy speaker of the Knesset, and has since started his own political movement called Zehut. So very pleased to be with you. Can you tell me, please, what does Zehut mean and why did you start Zehut?
The simple translation to the word Zehut is identity.
Mm-hmm.
Zehut means identity. And I think we're facing a search for identity, not only national identity, but also personal identity all over the world. Look what happened in America right now with Trump. What does it mean make America great again? Let's go back to our identity. Mm-hmm. You see it in Catalonia, you see it with the Brexit of England from the EU and so on. The search for identity, the longing for basic identity is very strong today. And yes, it happens also in Israel. We faced for decades already, few decades already, a whole war against our own identity, trying to erase Israel as a Jewish state, create something else over here, a state of all its citizens. The basic reason for the creation of that state is forgotten. This is what Zehut is all about.
Right.
It's about strong, substantial Jewish identity to the Jewish state.
I know we've seen from the left of politics in Australia, in America, elsewhere, an attack on those values, and of course the UN passing resolutions against the Jewish identity in Israel. There's been resolutions against Har HaBayit, against Marat HaMachpelah in Hebron. You've regarded the Temple Mount as particularly significant. Why?
Would you ask a question like that about Mecca?
No.
Or about the Vatican? Only our identity, including our territorial identity, is being questioned. Correct. No one asks why is Mecca and the Kaaba stone is so important and fundamental for the Muslims. Mm-hmm. No one asks why the Vatican has to be the capital of the Christian world, right? For some reason, Jerusalem is being asked.
Yes.
And it's a perfect example and as you know, the history of Jerusalem as the holiest place and the capital of the Jews is much, much longer and deeper than the other nations and religions. So to my opinion, there's no even need to answer this question. It's obvious. Once you start answering this question, you lost. You lost.
Now, you have a plan for a different approach to a peace solution for Israel. And by the way, we will put a link as the first comment after this video that gives access to that plan in English. It essentially involves, one of the essential elements is Israeli sovereignty over the area of Judea and Samaria that some people call the West Bank. How can that work? What are some of the ways you would implement that?
Well, we agree with the left that occupation is bad. The situation of occupation must come to an end, mm-hmm. And Israel should have its full sovereignty over all the territory between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean, which is exactly what the League of Nations decided in 1922. It's fulfilling all the international laws. The only occupation on these territories was the Jordanian occupation since between 48 and 1967. Until 48, this territory was, throughout all the legal decisions, international decisions, was supposed to be part of the of the state of Israel. The truth of the matter is that the Balfour Declaration in 1917 spoke about both sides of the of Jordan River, and this is definitely, and they were right, because the land of Israel, according to the Bible, to what I and most of the Jews believe, should be on both sides of the Jordan River. But definitely those territories are being held by the IDF and never ever belonged to no one else since the time the Jews were exiled from the land of Israel 2,000 years ago, when our the palace, not the palace, the Mikdash, how do you say,
the temple.
The temple. Yeah. When the temple was destroyed, okay? So throughout all these 2,000 years, there was no other sovereignty at those territories until the liberation of these territories by the IDF from the 19 years of Jordanian occupation. Now, so it's very simple. Israel should take over, and there should be no difference between what they call the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, and Tel Aviv and Jerusalem and Haifa. Now the question is what we're going to, of course, what are you going to do? What are the demographics? What are you going to do with 1.75 million Arabs? Most of them are Arabs in those territories. Well, first of all, we should know the real numbers. These are the real numbers. In Judea and Samaria today, there are less than 300,000 families.
Right.
These are the real numbers, not the numbers that millions. This is what we're talking about. In real numbers, it's 1.75 million Arabs. Demographically, we don't have a real problem, because according to the real demography, according to the real demographic directions, there are going to be a substantial majority of 80% Jews between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean in between 10 and 15 years from now, anyhow, and that even without taking into account big waves of aliyah, of Jewish immigration, that we can expect in those years, because we see that every 20 years it happens. Million Jews comes every 20, 30 years to Israel. It happened in the 70s, it happened in the 90s, it happened in the 30s. It's always like that, and it happened in the 50s. Every 20 years, more or less, there's a wave of Jewish immigration. They're going to come from Australia. They're going to come from the United States. They're going to come from Europe, and from France. They're coming already, simply because it'll be much easier to save your money over here. Okay, that's my opinion. But however, so we don't really have a demographic problem over here. Now, does it mean that tomorrow morning we annex the land and we're giving immediately? One second, excuse me. And we're giving immediately citizenship to 1.75 million Arabs? Of course not. That's not what it means. Our plan is the following. The good news is most of these Arabs in Judea and Samaria wish to leave. Between 20 and 30,000 of them are leaving anyhow every year. There are already empty villages, Arab villages in Judea and Samaria. You can go and see. They're looking to leave because they feel it's not their country. According to their own surveys, we're talking about something between 60 and 70% of them that would love to see their future somewhere else. and we should encourage this direction simply by allow them to sell the property with good profit. They cannot sell the property today to Jewish hands because they'll be killed by their own regime. We can also giving them money. We can give them a whole immigration basket, just as we have an immigration sal klita, as we call it, a basket for olim, a basket for Jews who come. Should have the same kind of help deal to those Arabs who wish on their own, from their own will, to leave. We can help them be the first online on every immigrant country, immigrant direction they want to go. We can do that, and that will lower the numbers. We believe more in about 10 years, from about 300,000 families to 150, easily. Now the rest of them, those who wish to stay, can stay either as a permanent residents, or if they want to become a real citizens of Israel, serve the army, be part of the Zionist concept, prove their loyalty, learn the language, just as if you want to be a citizen of Japan or a citizen of Switzerland. It's not going to happen from today to tomorrow, but if you really want to do it, that aisle should be open as well. And here you are, and you solve the problem that look unsolvable for so many years.
Okay, that's so it's a process. It's a process, a transition.
It's a process, but the real question you have to ask yourself is, do you want the land? And the answer that those who tried to get rid of their Jewish identity was no. They never really wanted those biblical territories, the cradle of the Holy Land, that force their Jewish identity on them. And that's the real story here. It's not about peace. It's not about security. It's about identity. That's why we need Zehut.
I'm not arguing. There's a movement in Australia that would support that direction for a whole variety of reasons. Pragmatic reasons, Jewish identity reasons, security reasons as well, that Israeli sovereignty should go at least to the Jordan River. Australian Jewish Association has articulated those principles, and that's why we're very happy to talk to you, because we're looking for people to engage with who are moving in the same direction. So that's excellent. Now, speaking of Australia, I understand that in the near future there's going to be an announcement about Zehut having more of a presence in Australia. What's going on there?
Oh yes, well, look, we have already branches in a few countries. Definitely, of course, the biggest one is in New York, but we have also in Europe, and we're very happy that we have that in Australia as well. We have our Zehut International run side by side to the Zehut movement here in Israel. We think that all Jews should be, all Jews who cares about Israel, see Israel as a major part. Those Jews who understand that the Jewish history is being written today in Jerusalem, not in Warsaw anymore, not in Marrakesh, not in New York, but in Jerusalem. Those Jews who wish to keep their Jewish identity cannot ignore what's happening in Israel, and we believe should be part of what's happening in Israel, and that's why we created the Zehut International, and we're very happy that it's starting to peak energy and movement in Australia as well.
Well, we don't affiliate with any political movement, but when the formal announcement is made and the details are available, we will make it known, because we think it's useful information for those that want to support you. And I know that at this stage you're very focused on preparing for the next Israeli election,
Right.
and I hope that once that is passed, that we can welcome you again in Australia as a member of the Knesset.
Thank you very much. Yes, as you know, I have deep roots
Yes, in Melbourne.
in Melbourne, not only in Melbourne. So yes, I have a warm part in my heart for Australia and the
Well, thank you very
Jewish
much.
community over there.
Much.
Thank you.
Hatzlacha Rabbah.
Thank you.
Thank you.